Hello, everyone. It's your girl. It's Molly.
And it's Alyssa. So, what is this? The Smitching Hour 2.0 now that we're on Facebook?
Much.
Really did that. All right.
I don't know if you guys remember from last week. If you did see our show on Instagram Live, it was messing up a whole bunch. So we decided to do it through Zoom onto Facebook Live.
And so far, so good.
So far, so good. We're good right now.
It was very stressful last week. We had a lot of technical difficulties, but we're better than ever. And we wanted to talk about what we were planning on talking about last week, but kind of kept getting interrupted.
Yeah, so we're going to do the same topics as last week. If you guys remember, our first topic, we discussed whether we are like in a Matrix type simulation type thing. Oh wait, also, Alyssa.
Yes.
Forgot. Candle ceremony.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you remembered because
I
love how last week was our first time doing a candle ceremony.
Yeah.
And now it's like an actual thing that we're gonna do.
We're gonna do it.
Wait, do we do 2 candles? Or are we doing 1?
I have 2 with me, but I don't care.
Okay, I'll do both. I'll do 1 on each side of the diffuser.
Alright, this one is Ocean Star.
This one is from the Alabama Candle Company, and this is kudzu. I think it's like some type of flower, but I'm not really sure. And then this one is Jamaica Me Crazy. I absolutely love that name.
Crazy. Alright, I'm gonna light mine.
Okay. Wait, can we, before I light this one, can we talk about how weird the wick looks now?
Interesting.
It looks like some sort of flower.
There we go.
Right, we got 1 down. Oh, there was a little spark in that one.
Alright, my next one is Cactus Blossom.
Ooh.
Which is a personal favorite of mine right now.
Does it smell more like a flower or like a cactus?
More like a flower.
Like a...
Yeah.
My weird thing is that, like, I know when, like, candles burn, like, the fragrance just goes into the air along with the wax and stuff like that, but it's weird how it just kind of disappears out of nowhere.
That is true.
Right?
I mean, it evaporates.
It's like, yeah, it's like that, but it's so weird when it comes to candles because I can imagine water, like, evaporating and stuff like that, but then when I see a candle do it, I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what had happened? Okay.
Without further ado,
It's time.
it's time.
All right, so this is from The Vulture. So, for 15 irrefutable reasons of why we might be living in a simulation, the first one is the Mandela Effect, which is, I'd say, a pretty popular one.
Yeah, I agree.
And basically, it says, some people claim to remember TV coverage of Nelson Mandela's death in the 1980s, even though he actually died in 2013. Now, I actually remember in 2013 when he passed away, and I was confused because I wasn't born in 1980, but I didn't like hear of him.
I thought he was like been dead.
That's what I was thinking. Because I was like, I never really heard of him until they said he died in 2013. What if they replaced him with a robot?
Oh, it's like the Avril Lavigne theory.
Oh my gosh, where she's like a completely different girl now.
Yeah, it's like Melissa or something.
And it would make sense because there was such a shift in like Avril Lavigne's personality, but also her music. Like she went kawaii and like K-pop in like a split of a second, and I was like, that seems weird to me. But anyway, the Mandela Effect is therefore supposedly proof that whoever is in charge of our simulation is changing the past. Or alternately, this is evidence of parallel universes, and some individuals have crossed from one universe in which Mandela died in the 80s into ours, when he lived to the age of 95. So, okay. People are crossing into universes.
Yeah, I love that.
So would that mean that we crossed over or we stayed here? Because if we're saying that he's been dead, but then he's alive, did we cross over and not even know it?
That's what I'm thinking, because the theory is that if it's Matrix-like, we're the simulation and the real world is elsewhere, so there's some type of shift.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So my guess is that this isn't the real world. And
Okay.
And then wherever Nelson Mandela died in 1980 is the real world.
Okay, my mind is kind of blowing. Here's why. Do you remember when the world ended? Or world was supposed to end?
2012, right? Are you talking about that?
Okay. 2012. I woke up the next day in 2012 and like everything seemed off. Like I knew I was alive, but I was like, how do I do things? Like I looked at my dog and I was like, I know I'm supposed to pet you, but I don't remember how I'm supposed to pet you.
What?
That's when we switched universes.
Are you sure? No, for me, remember we were in school during the exact date is December 21st, 2012.
Yes.
We had school, it was the last day of school before winter break, at least for my high school in Lacey. And I remember the lights shut off, the whole power went down for like 30 minutes. And we were like, oh my God, this is it. I will never forget that.
Also, then it goes on to say, additional examples of this is this phenomenon include some remembering the name of the Bernstein or Burns? Oh yeah, okay, so this is one of them. The Bernstein Bears. I always thought they were the Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, same. But they're Berenstain Bears or something. Yeah, with an A.
That doesn't even sound right. Stain.
I agree.
But maybe the A is silent, and it's just an E instead. And then others recall the non-existent movie from the 1990s called Shazam, starring the comedian Sinbad as a genie.
I don't know that one.
I remember that one. Well, I know there's the new movie Shazam.
Yeah, but that's a superhero. That's a DC movie.
So what was the old one?
I don't know. That one I never heard of.
I never heard of that either. I heard about, I know you mentioned last week the Kit Kat one.
Yeah, Kit Kat, Pikachu. Pikachu's tail. No. A lot of people will say that the end of the tail is black when it's not. Mm-hmm. And no one remembers. They're like, no, we specifically remember the end of the tail being black. And it's like, nope, you're wrong.
And yeah. What if this is a real thing? They're obviously doing it on purpose to kind of, I guess, keep us on our toes.
I guess they just want to mess with us. But they're also saying Mandela effects are like glitches in it because nothing technological is perfect.
Yes.
Everything that has to do with us being in like the Matrix is all tech savvy. So they're saying it's glitches. Also, this kind of leads me, if you don't mind me, this leads me into sharing with you guys a TikTok. Oh, good. You know what we're testing out? We're going to test out for sharing a screen on here.
What's a TikTok on it?
So it's about how we live in a simulation, but he explains how deja vu might be a glitch in the system.
But going back to like the whole glitch thing, actually speaking of TikTok, I also saw some where this person was posting videos and it was kind of like part 1 and part 2, and it was showing like various times that there's been a glitch in the system. Mm-hmm. So it was showing like someone with powers caught on camera, or someone like it was raining in just one spot.
Yeah,
it was stuff
I've seen that before too.
You've seen it just rain in one spot?
Yeah. You've never seen that?
No, I've never seen
it. Oh, you have it.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
What if the reason that deja vu feels so real is because it was real? What if it was just a flashback of your first life? If we were in a simulation, deja vu would be just a glitch or a gap in the system, which would make sense because if we were in a simulation, our mind and body would be the system.
You guys heard it.
Yes.
Makes sense.
That's so weird.
I say it does. I could totally see that.
Yeah, it would make sense. Because as you said, technology's not perfect. There's bound to be mistakes.
Yeah. So you're like, wait, didn't that happen before? And it's like...
And it's like, oh, all right. Well, we're gonna reverse that real quick.
Exactly.
Right, so do you want to get into the next one?
Yes. So this is called Missing Aliens. So we spent billions sending probes through outer space and should probably have found evidence of extraterrestrial by now, right? Not so fast. Aliens would likely be far more technologically advanced than we are. The Lincoln goes, so the fact that we haven't located them suggests we live in a simulation that they've figured out how to escape from. Interesting. Or maybe the computer we're in only has enough RAM to simulate one planetary civilization at a time. So it's pretty much just like run by aliens.
Okay. I don't know if I see. I kind of understand that in a sense, because they're saying like we haven't found evidence of aliens and they're like smarter than us and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm also thinking like they would be in it with us. Like, why are they special?
I'm trying to think.
Are they just playing us?
Pretty much. They're like, oh, we have the technology to do this. Why not? Let's screw around with them for a little bit and see what happens.
Wait, see, and that's where it comes into like the whole like Sims idea.
Yeah.
Because it is like, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's not possible. Because like, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I agree with this or not. But when it comes to games like The Sims, where you literally control other people's lives, it could be very real that someone is controlling us, and maybe The Sims is just so we could get a taste of that. So I'm like, why would aliens be controlling it? Like, it's just like, oh, you see those little things right there? We're gonna call them humans, and we're gonna control whatever we want. You go there.
You go there. Wow, whoever is controlling me right now really be playing me without my witness.
Wait, but then also with aliens is that, like, there has been times where people have spotted UFOs and stuff like that. So if they're controlling us, why would they be coming into our world? Or why would they be wanting to make themselves known? Are they trying to drive us crazy or trying to make us revolt against each other?
Maybe they're doing like research on us or something.
I want an interview with the government. The whole thing. I want some answers right now. But also when it comes to
the march in and be like, I demand an interview right now.
I won't even make it to the door. I'll be lucky if I get to a gate. But also, like, I feel like this comes into play with our whole wanting to have answers for everything. Because humans are very like, oh, I want an answer for this, I want an answer for that, and they'll seek out those answers. So this could be one of those things that's just like, we wanted an answer and maybe it's not real, but it kind of gives some people comfort to believe that this is how life is. Wow.
I know.
That went deep. Whew. Okay. Number 3. So electrons that can't make up their minds. So in physics, a famous double slit experiment, there we go. Electrons are fired at a photosensitive screen through slits in a copper plate, usually producing an interference pattern that indicates wave-like behavior. But when the same experiment is conducted under observation, electrons behave like particles, not waves, and there's no interference pattern. Some have taken this to mean our simulation is conserving its resources and rendering certain things only when it's known we're looking at them. So I remember last time when we talked about this, you were very interested by that. Yeah. Or was it the DNA? I think it was both.
I think the DNA more got me.
Okay.
So
okay, you go.
Okay. So in 2017, a multidisciplinary group of researchers at the University of Washington proved that they could embed malicious, malicious? Okay. Computer code into physical strands of DNA. Their aim was to show that computers working in gene sequencing were vulnerable to attack. But they may also have inadvertently revealed that we perceive to be biological reality was in fact computer code.
So it is very.
I would like to see. So they pretty much stick like computer codes into our DNA, and that's how they're able to control us.
Oh God.
Also,
when would they do that? Would they do that at birth?
Yeah, pretty much. Because if you think about whoever is putting the computer codes in us. Are not technically here, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because you've never seen The Matrix, right?
I haven't.
Okay, so the real world is like a totally different like dimension, and we're like in an incubator type thing, like the real body. However, there's however way is getting us from the incubator into our Earth, but it's just like computer generated pretty much. So our DNA strands here wouldn't show computer codes, but our DNA out there in the real world would show the computer codes. Does that make sense?
It's as if we're just kind of shells.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, according to Elon Musk, we're probably living in a simulation.
Oh, then it's real.
Yeah, that's it.
Elon Musk said it? Done.
Yeah.
It's confirmed.
According to space.com, Elon Musk thinks we're all probably trapped in a matrix-like pseudo-existence. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, so many civilians that may have arisen throughout the cosmos have had loads and loads of time to hone their technological know-how. The SpaceX founder and CEO explained early this morning, well, September 7th of 2018, so early this morning, 2 years ago, during a long, wide-ranging, and very entertaining appearance on comedian Joe Rogan's popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. So, this is what he says. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then games will be indistinguishable from reality, or civilization will end. One of those two things will occur, Musk said. Therefore, we are most likely in a simulation because we exist. I think most likely this is just about probability. There are many, many simulations, he added. You might as well call them reality, or you could call them the multiverse. The substrate on these simulations are running, whatever it may be, probably quite boring, or at least compared to the simulation themselves, Musk further told Rogan. So I'll just read this last quote from Elon Musk. So he said, quote, "Why would you make a simulation that boring? You'd make a simulation that's way more interesting than base reality," citing the video games and movies that humanity makes, which are distillations of what's interesting about life. Interesting. He proved it.
So it is very possible.
Yeah.
When we talk about these things, I try to keep an open mind to them. Because also, like, there's not just one thing that I'm going to believe in. But I also like when things are proven to be true, but there's some things that you can't necessarily prove.
Yeah. Let's do, where did it go? 19 things The Matrix predicted about life in 2019 that can lead us into Simpsons. So number one, our national aversion to reality. In an era when the president's lawyer can go on TV and splutter, "The truth isn't truth," as if it's nothing everyone should know, The Matrix is omnipresent. It's not that the film was what is that word? It's not that the film was
No.
what?
Was
Right?
prescient.
Apparently.
I'm not in college.
I am about to graduate. It's not that the film was prescient. It didn't anticipate our world, but it anticipated and probably created a new way of viewing that world. Since 1999, the world has provided ample opportunity for people to turn the Matrix into a foundational text of a frighteningly thorough and self-adoring denial of whatever was in front of their noses, which roughly translates as, reality is fake and I don't have to listen to anyone about anything. Plus maybe I know karate despite over having studied it. That was just an ad-lib from the author. The Matrix concocted the perfect one-size-fits-all combination of flattery, paranoia, and anti-corporate wokeness, libertarian belief in the primacy of the individual, and ideologically non-specific anger at the system, a wake-up people for its era, and even more for ours. We live today in an anti-reality world the Matrix built. Interesting. So what he's saying, it's more just like a criticism from the movie that like the way we look at the world is very different, supposedly after the movie was created. because now we question everything because this movie was huge. So people who viewed it back in 1999 are questioning everything.
See, but that's also how, when I think this was 2 weeks ago, we talked about it, kind of where movies, oh no, maybe it was last week, I'm not really sure, but we were saying how movies kind of prepare you for these things, like you ease into it.
Yeah.
So I could see that as being possible, because it's also like, maybe something definitely happened for people to believe these things existed. So like someone had to see an alien to be like, yep, that's an alien, I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Or someone had to experience this for themselves and they're like, wait a minute, I think something's going on here. Unless people just are very imaginative, which could be too.
That could be, I mean, think of the Slender Man.
Exactly.
You know?
I also feel like Slenderman was, like, I feel like they probably took pieces from other tales or maybe other...
I mean, they did. Because
they just combined it into one.
Like folklore, and then they just replaced whatever monster it was with the Slender Man. And we're like, okay, we believe that.
So in that sense, they had some information, but they just kind of revamped it and made their own thing out of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then for number 2, it brings up the red pills, the involuntary celibate villains of the 21st century. So misogyny, anti-feminism, and crude pickup artist dating advice have existed on the internet for a long time, but it's the religious sensibility of the Matrix as translated into the red pill that combines these strands into coherent cosmology. Feminism, the red pill theory, tells its mostly young male adherents is a cruel fabrication that causes personal unhappiness, societal disorder, daily chaos, global strife, and worst of all, is the reason that you're not having intercourse. And don't judge me. I didn't want to
say sex on air on the radio, so you're not.
But like, it's dirty.
Oh my goodness.
Only through the red pill can you see the world for what it really is. And I'm not going to read the last line.
The last part says finally get laid.
Finally.
But interesting.
All right. So is that okay? Because when I think of like the red pill, like I think of how people think like drugs control our behavior. Mm-hmm. Like if I take Advil or something, maybe it's laced with something else and now I'm controlled by the government.
Gotcha.
But then I also like how they're saying like when you take these, it makes you see like the world for what it really is. Because I think of how sometimes people are like, oh, these drugs are like making me like crazy and stuff like that. And then they're off the drugs and it appears that like they've cleared their mind and stuff like that. So yeah. I'm like, this is kind of like the reversal of like you taking the drugs and now you're like fine.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. I'm scrolling down a little bit.
I've also never seen the movie, so I'm really one to talk on this subject.
So I scrolled down to number 5. So the academic case for simulation theory. In his 2001 paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation? Oxford University philosopher Nick Bostrom, who funny enough had not yet seen The Matrix when he wrote it, posited that if humanity does become capable of creating a Matrix-like simulation of reality, it will create many of them, meaning that there would be lots of simulated realities of only one non-simulated one, in which case maybe it's more likely than not that we're living in a simulation right now. So that's pretty much the difference between his theory and what we've been talking about, is that in the Matrix there's only one real world. Yeah. However, his theory is that, there's multiple different worlds, so like a multiverse.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I could see that, because like it's when like I watched The Flash and shows like that.
Yeah.
They have like multi-universes there. So I get that. That sounds so weird thinking that there would be like a multiverse though, because I wonder what I would be if I was in various worlds. Like I'd probably be like a punk in one. I'd be an old woman in another. I'd be riding a motorcycle in a different one. I'd probably be arrested. Because it's just different versions of yourself. And I'd say that none of them are alike.
Well, you gotta think about it. It's still, the main world is still you. So it's still your genetic makeup and what your brain entails, because everything in here is still your DNA. So it could be the same like person, but
doing
a different aspect of your personality stands out more than the other aspect.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's, ugh. Can you imagine, like, you learn
have an aspect of your personality where you'd get arrested, is what you're telling me.
I'm sure it's deep down there somewhere. Also with TikTok like shows these videos of like people doing like fake mugshots. So it's like, it's somewhere. It's like right there. Should we get into The Simpsons?
Yes.
What the? The dreaded Osaka flu has hit Springfield with over 300 cases now reported. Now over to Arnie Pie with Arnie in the Sky.
Route 401 is going around and around and around and around and around. And look out at the corner of 12th and Main because I'm going to be sick. Whoop.
Okay, Mr. Sun, give me what you got.
98.6. You're fine. Now hurry up or you miss your bus. Maybe you better take that temperature one more time.
Sarge, we keep getting orders to let the virus win. Must be a school day. Lay down your arms. All right. Let's make some puffs.
God. I love The Simpsons.
I need to like watch every single episode of The Simpsons. It's
yeah.
good.
But I haven't seen the scene about like the actual episode about their virus.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen a lot of articles of them saying like, oh, they predicted the whole pandemic of COVID-19.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely have to.
Oh, it's called the Osaka flu.
And
That's
it's
so
all
funny.
over. Begins
Wait, hold on. I just thought of something.
Okay.
Because you know how, if you guys don't know, obviously from the coronavirus, there's been many like hate crimes and stuff like that against Asian people. Look at the name of the flu from The Simpsons.
Osaka?
Yeah. From Japan. While while coronavirus came from China. So like, obviously not near the same country, but the same continent, which I find very interesting. And it begins with the cats, while for us, I think it was a bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone decided to eat some bat soup or something, and that's what spread it.
Now, here's also my thing is that, like, when we look at The Simpsons, like, are we just pointing out, like, similar instances that happen in society and then, or like, oh yeah, The Simpsons predicted it? But also, like, with certain things, I'm like, but they really did.
Oh, because, like, remember how they got Trump?
Yeah.
But the president? And then the whole scene of him going down the escalator and the way he moves, if you look at those videos side by side, it's exactly the same.
And that's my thing, though. Now that, like, we've noticed they're predicting so many things, we've kept searching for, like, more things that they predict. And especially when it's big things.
Alyssa, I just thought of something.
What?
To connect the whole Matrix thing, what if whoever controls the simulation is, like, warning us what's about to happen
Through The
Simpsons? And they're like, just letting you know, we're about to do this.
Why would they pick The Simpsons?
You know, it's the most watched television show for years. It's the most longest running television show.
But also the thing is that they predict these things are shown years back. Like Annabella said it in the chat, I believe. This was like 1999. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, in an episode that aired in 1999, news anchor Kent Brockman is depicted delivering the daily news headlines from his own home in observance of the new curfew law in Springfield.
Aimed specifically at seniors. That's crazy. I'm telling you,
I mentioned this last week. I saw this TikTok and it was with the audio like, hey, what are you doing? And it's like looking over the shoulder, and it was God looking over the Simpsons shoulder and was like, what y'all doing? And like writing down what they're writing down. It's like, and then the Simpsons is like, this is mine. But see, that's a crazy thing because it's like these things were predicted way back, and now like we go to The Simpsons and are like, wait a minute, did they predict it? Let's check. Like, it's become such a commonly known thing now. 18 times The Simpsons accurately predicted the future. So let's see. The first one is Three-Eyed Fish, Season 2, Episode 4. In this episode from 1990, Bart catches a three-eyed fish named Blinky. Oh, that's cute. In the river. Wait, okay. Is it possible for it to wink if it has three eyes?
If it blinks with just one eye.
Okay. Because I was having a debate the other day, and it was about Mike Wazowski, because he only has one eye. And I was saying, does he blink or does he wink? Turns out it's up for interpretation, because you could believe he's blinking or you could believe he's winking. And I'm sure he moves his mouth in some type of way.
I was going to say, he could be like,
Yeah. I even Googled it, and it's like a highly searched question, too. Anyway, going back to actual topic. Blinky was found in the river by the power plant, which makes local headlines. More than a decade later, a three-eyed fish was discovered in a reservoir in Argentina. And strangely enough, the reservoir itself was fed by water from a nuclear power plant.
Interesting.
Here's also my thing.
And the fella just wrote in the chat, dang. Yeah, me too.
But also, here's my thing, is that you never know when these things are going to happen. Because there's no specific, like, time limit, like, time frame that they're predicting these things. Like, something could be from 1990 and then it doesn't happen till 2019 and stuff like that. If it was a set time, then we could keep track of it and be like, all right, what's happening next? The Simpsons is really playing us.
They really are. All right, number 2, The Censorship of Michelangelo's David, Season 2, Episode 9. In an episode from 1990 titled Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, shows Springfieldians protesting against Michelangelo's statue of David being exhibited in the local museum, calling the artwork obscene for its nudity. The satire censorship came true in July of 2016 when Russian campaigners voted on whether to clothe a copy of the Renaissance statue that had been set up in central St. Petersburg. Interesting.
That's disrespectful to the art and
the
artist. Like, I get it's obscene or whatever, but don't look at it.
Yeah, it's like, or you could just not visit the statue.
Yeah, that too. Number 3 is a letter from the Beatles. Actually, regarding the Beatles, another topic we could talk about one day is this guy said that he traveled back in time or traveled to another place, another world or something, and he came back with a new CD from the Beatles of like music they never released before or something like that. Like it was from an alternate universe where they were all still together and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I remember seeing it somewhere.
I was like, wait.
I think that'd be really cool. Anyway, Letter from the Beatles, Season 2, Episode 18. So also, I want to see, they seem to be predicting things every few episodes.
Yeah.
So Season 2, Episode 4, Episode 9, Episode 18. I want to find an algorithm. I want to be able to track this. And it's bothering me. In 1991, an episode of The Simpsons saw the Beatles' Ringo Starr diligently answering fan mail that had been written decades ago. In 2013, September to be specific, 2 Beatles fans from Essex received a reply from Paul McCartney to a letter and recording they sent to the band 50 years ago. The recording was sent to a London theater the band was due to play at, but was found years later in a car boot sale by a historian.
Easy.
That's so
Not
weird.
even the fact that The Simpsons predicted that, just that story in general. That they wrote a letter to Paul McCartney 50 years ago. And then they found it.
I want to know how it got
later.
there.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, the BBC's The One Show reunited the pair with their letter, plus a reply from McCartney.
Oh my god.
Sweet.
That's crazy.
And then now it shows that they didn't predict anything until
Season 5.
But also, here's my thing. That's as we know of.
That's as we know, because we don't know what will come true. There's no like specific time in between episode and prediction happening in real life.
I wonder who takes the time to go back and like find these things, because you have to like be like, all right, someone got attacked, I'm gonna go see if this was in The Simpsons, and like you have to rewatch every single one of them to find it.
Yeah, there's some Simpsons expert out there that's like, I know everything about this stuff.
I want to meet them.
All right, number 4, The Secret and Roy Tiger Attack, Season 5, Episode 10. The Simpsons parodied entertainers Siegfried and Roy in a 1993 episode called Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Loved and Legalized Gambling. During the episode, the magicians are viciously mauled by a trained white tiger while performing in a casino. In 2003, Roy Hearn of Siegfried and Roy was attacked during a live performance by Montefiore, one of the white tigers. He lives but sustained severe injuries in the attack. That's interesting. But that's also like, I don't think that's more of a prediction. I think the Simpsons were like, well, obviously you're treating this animal like garbage, so they're gonna attack you, and like, you know, because that's what wild animals do, especially a tiger. So it was only bound to happen after a matter of time.
I actually heard about this because I went to Vegas a few years ago with my godmother, and they have the Siegfried and Roy like hidden garden or something like that, where they have like tigers and stuff like that. But yeah, they did so many shows, and then they got attacked and they stopped doing it. But they still like kept like the area open, so there's like dolphins, there's tigers. It was really cool. Oh, that's wild. But also, I don't really know how they were treating them, because I'm sure in a live performance, like, they're probably not being treated well because they're being forced to perform.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, whether they're being treated well or not, no wild animal is ready to perform, so it's only a matter of time. Exactly. Whether they're trustworthy or tame or not. It's a tiger.
Another one is a horse meat scandal in season 5, episode 19. So, in 1994, lunch lady Doris used assorted horse parts to make lunch for students at Springfield Elementary. 9 years later, the Food Safety Authority of Ireland found horse DNA in over 1/3 of beef burger samples from supermarkets and ready meals, and pig in 85% of them.
Disgusting.
Oh. That's gross. I also like that we're reading this, because like these are just things I didn't even know happened.
Yeah. All right. I'm skipping to number 7 because that one looks interesting. Smartwatches. Season 6, episode 19. The Simpsons introduced the idea of a watch that could use as a phone in an episode aired in 1995, nearly 20 years later, before Apple Watch was released. So there's not much to it, but I found that one very interesting. Also, I want to show them what like the actual watch looks like. It's kind of silly.
Every time you say silly, it's my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, thank you. Like, look at that. That's so silly. It looks like a flip phone.
But for your wrist.
But for your wrist. Even though now, it's obviously just a touch screen. But yeah, I find that funny. All right, that's my input on that.
One of the ones that I wanted to skip to was the Ebola outbreak.
What number is that one?
That is number 11.
Okay.
So it's season 9, episode 3. And a little bit about it. So some people maintain that The Simpsons predicted the 2014 outbreak of Ebola 17 years before it happened. In a scene from the episode, Lisa Sachs, Marge, I don't know why, but my website, it keeps like scrolling down as I'm reading. And like, I don't know what's happening. It's freaking me out. Anyway, Marge suggests a sick Bart read a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. The virus wasn't particularly widespread in the 1990s, but years later, it was the top of the news agenda. Ebola was first discovered in 1976, and though this latest outbreak has been the worst yet, it killed 254 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1995 and 224 in Uganda in 2000.
It's crazy.
So it predicted it, but also it was like something that was already going on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was a prediction.
it was kind of just like an assumption that it was going to be worse.
All right, I'm going to skip over to number 14.
Okay.
Because...
I refreshed my website so it would stop.
Okay. Are you good now?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. So this is number 14, Faulty Voting Machine, Season 20, Episode 4. In 2008, The Simpsons showed Homer trying to vote for Barack Obama in the U.S. general election, but a faulty machine changed his vote. 4 years later, a voting machine in Pennsylvania had to be removed after it kept changing people's votes for Barack Obama to the one of his Republican rival, Mitt Romney. I actually have heard a lot about this, especially...
I'm hearing about that, yeah.
Yeah. And if I could be wrong, I think I remember seeing things about faulty voting machines during the 2016 election as well. If you tried to vote for Hillary.
I think I heard about that too.
Yeah, and it would like change the vote or it wouldn't accept the vote unless you clicked on Trump. So like it's crazy.
And
there's a bunch of conspiracies about that, how like depending on, I'm not gonna say which side, like whatever side like your state is in, like if you're in the South, it's usually gonna be a Republican state. New Jersey, Democratic. If someone's crazy enough to, you know, mess with the machine, it's gonna be like, oh, it's only gonna be faulty for the opposite party.
We can even talk about that one day.
I was gonna say that's a conspiracy theory.
That's a scandal.
That's a scandal.
And then I was just gonna skip to 18.
Word.
Just because there's so many other articles we could get into, but 18 is about Game of Thrones. So the finale, season 29, episode 1, it predicts Daenerys's a big plot twist in Game of Thrones. So on the, oh gosh, what is that? Penultimate?
Yeah.
Episode of Game of Thrones, Daenerys shocked fans when she and her dragon laid waste to an already surrendered King's Landing, obliterating thousands of innocent people. In 2017, on a season 29 episode of The Simpsons titled The Simpsons, which spoofed various aspects of Game of Thrones, included the Three-Eyed Raven and the Night King. Homer revives a dragon that proceeds to incinerate a village.
Interesting. And then that episode was before the finale.
Yes. Huh.
That's so weird. I've never seen Game of Thrones. I know nothing about it. I need to watch it.
I've seen it vaguely. I saw one season and a little bit of the second season.
Okay.
But I was already familiar with the ending just because I spoiled it for myself. And by now, I mean, it's been out for how long? Of course,
yeah.
It's been spoiled.
But if I was like a diehard Game of Thrones fan, this would have me shook because even if you also watch The Simpsons, I don't know if people do or not still, but could you imagine just you're watching this and I'm like, oh yeah, that could happen, and then you watch the finale and then it did, and you're like, wait a minute.
You're like, oh no, I saw this before. I'd be upset because I'd be like, I knew this whole time, but also didn't know.
Yeah.
It'd break my heart.
One that we can talk about, and there's a video, is Donald Trump presidency, season 11, episode 17, Bar to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, let's start with the most widely circulated prediction. The second time The Simpsons took a peek into the future, Lisa has become president of the United States. In a cabinet meeting, she offhandedly mentions, we inherited quite the budget crunch from President Trump. It initially was a reference to Trump attempting to run as a Reform Party candidate, but the words gained much more validity when Trump was elected as president in 2016. The week after the election, the reoccurring chalkboard gag even read, being right sucks. So that obviously tells you what side they're on in The Simpsons.
And that was even before they showed him going down the escalator, I think.
Yeah, so this is, and one thing, it's not mentioned in the article, but I'll mention here while I share the screen. Do we see this? Are we good?
Yes.
If you kind of look at how Lisa is, think of Hillary Clinton. They look alike.
1600. Sweet. Excellent question. Yes, I am proud to be America's first straight female president. Helen?
Wasn't I wearing a hat?
Yes, you were. Now, in conclusion, my administration will focus on the 3 R's: reading, writing, and refilling the ocean. Thank you very much. As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten? We're broke. The country is broke? How can that be? Well, remember when the last administration decided to invest in our nation's children? Big mistake.
The Balanced Breakfast program just created a generation of ultra-strong super criminals.
And midnight basketball taught them to function without sleep. What about my pledge to build the world's largest bookmobile? Isn't there any money left for that?
No, and we borrowed from every country in the world.
Quick, Lisa, call off your Bye. Oh, watch the ponytail.
So
How accurate. So it talked about Donald Trump, and then they also went how our economy just went, which look what's happening right now.
yeah.
Because after this is over, we're going to be in a recession again.
Mhm. And I mean, that could be their prediction. It could be just their bias of not liking him, but it did come true. Should we get into our co-star?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I know.
I didn't even check my co-star today, so like I'm finding this out. And I feel like the only time I check my co-star is if you send me something or if it's the Smitching Hour. Otherwise, I'm
I
never
don't check mine that much anymore. I looked that one time and I like went under where you can like view your friends and their like compatibility or something. And my favorite was when it was like, you need to admit your feelings to Alyssa, but not yet. So I texted Alyssa and I was like, Alyssa, apparently I have to admit my feelings for you, but not yet.
And then I sent something to her and it was like what it said between us, and it says to ask her about how she reacts to jealousy. So I was like, you react to jealousy? And she was like, oh.
Like, this is much darker.
Wait, you have to see what it says for today.
Oh God. You can go first.
Okay. So my little light bulb says, you can have a disagreement with someone and remain friends.
Okay.
I have power in thinking and creativity, pressure in routine and sex and love, trouble with spirituality, social life, and self. And then it says, you feel independent right now. Give yourself permission to be intimate. Reach out to them. Your job this month... Why are you laughing? Your job this month is to follow your urge to try something new. This is not small feat for a person who doesn't always see reality as it is. Let yourself open up, grow bigger, take pride in your scars. Wait, that's also crazy because like I'm trying to do all these things now. Like I'm trying to do a podcast and I'm trying to get my YouTube going and stuff like that. Whoa. Okay.
There you go.
Anyway, big things happening. The general theme for your life, or of your life during this period, is to learn everything you can about the hidden aspects of universe. A lack of anxiety makes you more interesting to be around. And that's it.
That's a good one. Yours are good. All right. My light bulb says, let other people show you things about yourself that you're unable to see.
Okay.
Yeah. I have power in self. That's it. That's how I'm going. Actually, no, the past 2 days I haven't had power in anything, so this is an improvement. I have pressure in routine, spirituality, and social life, and trouble in thinking, creativity, and sex and love. Typical. You feel unique right now. Give yourself permission to be a human who speaks to other humans. Interesting. Okay. Don't worry about being alone or about others not accepting you. It can be hard to stay when you want to run when you're exhausted. You're not a bad person for wanting to be free. Don't forget to stretch. Thank you, co-star.
Do some yoga.
Yeah. The broader focus of your life during this time is to use your excess empathy to lend emotional support to others. Life is not a tournament. All our lives encompass a variety of ill-judged adventures. Everyone else's as much as yours.
Okay.
Why are mine riddles every time?
Yeah, I was trying to like decipher that, and when it stopped talking to humans, I was like, so what have you been talking to, animals?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Be a human who talks to humans. And then it's like, don't forget to stretch. And I'm like, okay. Thank you.
But like,
it's leg day, so I will be stretching.
But maybe it's a metaphor for stretching something else.
Yeah.
Stretching your mind.
Maybe.
I don't know. I got like yoga intellectual there. Like I was like, what would they tell me in yoga besides namaste? Stretch your mind.
Stretch your mind. Be more, that kind of stuff.
Right, that's pretty good. And as you were saying, like with you like only having power in like today and like you haven't had power in a while, that's the same with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean usually it's like that for me. I don't usually have power in something, but I was like, today I have power.
Yeah, and for you guys watching, I would definitely recommend downloading this app, CoStar. If you're a believer of astrology and stuff, even if not, it gives good advice on whether you think it's accurate to your life. You can always follow it, you know.
Yeah, I would say when you look at it, don't necessarily read it and then kind of see how you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, don't let it control you. Kind of like at the end of the day, look at it and be like, oh, okay, like that was kind of, or even the beginning of the day and be like, all right, well, that kind of sets my mood for today or sets how I'm going to be, stuff like that.
Sometimes I'll look back and I'll be like, wow, I was feeling not so great the other day. You know my life.
Yeah.
And the past 2 days, I haven't had power in anything. And I was like, huh.
It makes you feel like you're not crazy.
Yeah. Even though we all know that.
Yeah.
But
it's like Mercury retrograde.
oh my goodness. Mercury's not retrograde now. So
wait, when is the next one?
I have to look it up.
Okay.
We have how much? We have 2 minutes? All right.
I'm hoping it's not for a while because I would quite enjoy that.
Yeah. Okay.
It was weird because during Mercury retrograde, I wasn't born in one, but it was going really well for me. And then once it was over, I was like, oh.
Maybe Mercury retrograde was screwing you over by setting it up.
Long haul.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, June 18th to July
12th. Okay, so we have some time.
Okay. Why are there so many Mercury retrogrades?
Well, I mean, there's 3 per year.
I've never kept track of them until this year. So
Really?
like now I'm just like, wait a minute.
Here's my thing.
Things are weird occasionally.
I was born during a retrograde, so usually like good things happen, but like I'm on your boat. Think of last Mercury retrograde back in October. Long haul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
October to November. October 14th to November 3rd.
Yes, so it's always going to be around like that same time, because then the next one after that will be like February and then June.
Okay.
Crazy.
I could deal with that. I just need to lock myself up in a room during Mercury retrogrades and talk to no one. I'm gone.
I just noticed something we haven't done yet on our show.
Our candles?
The candles. Also, in general, my tarot cards.
You're right, and that's actually in our document of things to do.
We'll do that next week.
That'd be fun.
I'll give you a tarot card reading.
Ooh. That's
anyway, we have reached the end. It is what, 5 o'clock? Yes. So closing candle ceremony. Oh my god, I almost spilled the wax on myself.
I didn't there's so much wax that accumulates. Not really much in this one.
Oh, this one looks like just
full of wax.
This is disgusting.
This one doesn't melt properly. I'm sorry.
All right.
No, I'm not. Okay.
Are you ready? Oh, you're rolling it out. Oh god, hold on.
I was going to try to. I don't know if I can.
I got you. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I love watching the little like embers
Mm-hmm.
of like the little spark that's left. I think that's.
Oh god, I'm making sure this isn't.
That was warm. Not even warm. That was hot. I always get worried when I touch it because I'm like, I'm gonna burn myself.
Yeah, I feel that too. Anyway, we have reached the end of the Smitching Hour. But yeah, tune in next week. If you want to follow our socials, Facebook is WMC Radio 90.3 or 903. I have been doing this job of digital marketing / social media for 2.5 years, 2 years. WMSC Radio.
WMSC Radio.
Okay, got it. And I still sometimes don't remember Facebook. YouTube is WMSC Radio 903. Our Instagram is WMSC Radio, and then Twitter is @WMSC. Or if you want to follow me and Alyssa, my username on everything, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is MollyG9897.
My Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is all AlyssaGrace_X. And then for Facebook, it's just Facebook and YouTube, it's just my name, so Alyssa Salvato.